Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of UFO Undercover. I'm your host, Joe Montaldo. Hope everyone's having a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. Gotta say, no, I also want to be on Wednesday night. Been here for 20 years, love being here. It's a great place to come host, have a lot of fun, get to talk to a lot of great people. We're going to be on the disclosure thing. I'll probably invite Stephen or Stephen or Michael or Alfred or one of them in the near future to come talk about it. But I really want to talk about more about disclosure and way. Will it happen or will it not happen? What will it take to happen? What are the benefits of happening? What are benefits of not happening? Hello there, Michelle. I often wonder about these kind of things. Being that I've been in the field for going on 30, I shouldn't even say how long I've been in the field, but 38 years at least. So yeah, it's been a little, day or two, but being that I've been in the field for that long, and the simple fact is, there hasn't been disclosure in the 40 years I've been doing ufology. There hasn't been disclosure in the 40 years before I was in ufology. There wasn't any disclosure in the 500 years before that. And one of the bitch parts about this is disclosure is a hinky little thing. For the simple fact of the matter is, as far as ET is concerned, maybe they've already disclosed to everybody they want to, meaning that whoever's not, in their sphere of influence doesn't need to know. Or maybe they just don't care if you know or if you don't know. Maybe they don't mind either way. It might not. But anyway, I'm going to throw this Pentagon video up right quick, and then we're going to come back and talk about this some more. But hold on, and I will share our screens up real quick. It is a nice feature I do like on here that that they have on StreamYard. I mean, you can do it on Skype too, which is nice. I mean, the technology today is so much nicer than it used to be. But anyway, let me cue this up right quick. And dun, 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 dun. Wait, I hit the wrong button, didn't I? Go back. And yes. Okay, is this a UFO though? Really? Can you tell me this is? I can tell you it's an unidentified flying object, which is what UFO means. But was this really extraterrestrials? Ow, man, these pilots got big mouths, man. Yeah. See, I'm confused because so. Well, the problem for all this is it's great the Pentagon's releasing things. I think it's a fabulous new thing. They've always been releasing something along the ways, but I'm kind of wondering what's going on here. Okay, I don't know. Sorry, guys, I'm just doing a mic check. Okay, that one's working just fine. All right. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. The mic was acting a little strange there for a second. But anyway. Oh, no. Whoever said that? Marsha? No, it's set up different tonight. Yeah, no, it's just the way the camera's set up. And somebody had asked me the other day, which this is off the cuff. They said, what do you look like when you're at work? And I see you on camera. You always got a tie on, you wear a suit or something. This is how I look at work. Yes, when I'm working a day job, yes. When I run my contracting business, this is pretty much what it looks like. Except for some days, I'd be quite a bit, dirtier than I am right now. Yeah, it's sweatsuits, real light, soft material, so it's cool on your skin. It's hot down here. People live in New Orleans. Yeah, I mean it's hot. It's not like it's already hot. It's already in mid 80s to upper 80s. Yeah, we're already into this. Oh my God, we're gonna freeze our Goonies off. But anyway, oh well, hell, welcome from the other side of the planet. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. So somebody told me the other day when they seen these Pentagon videos, that's why I played it. Oh, well, that's proof that aliens exist. No, that is not proof that aliens exist. Even though I wish it was, because then I could, move on to something else. But no, it's not proof that extraterrestrials exist. All it's proof is that it was an unidentified flying object. You know, it irritates me when I got to tell people this, but it's simple. UFO, unidentified flying object. It doesn't say anything about extraterrestrial spacecraft. It just means it's unidentified. And currently, that's a lot of stuff that's unidentified. I mean, I've seen some good stuff up close myself, things that make me wonder, uh, this can't be ours. This is definitely something that's not ours. It's definitely not terrestrial. But then, we don't really know what the government's got in its deep, dark closet, do we? What it's keeping on the down low or something that even the regular government doesn't know about. Them kind of things worry me, but not as much. It doesn't seem like how can I say this? It doesn't seem like the planet's in a rush to destroy itself or wipe itself out of existence. It seems like we're wanting to move forward and learn some. Hey, Cal. Um, well, disclosure doesn't really. I have to agree with what you just said, Cal. It doesn't really exist. I mean, it exists in some ufologists' minds, and it exists in some other people's minds, but in reality, it doesn't exist unless you think you're an alien abductee or a contactee, and then of course you've been disclosed to, so it doesn't matter. So why did they really care? It's always been a question. If aliens really are here and they really are taking people, then they're really already disclosed to the people that they're interested in. So do they even care about the rest of the population on the planet? I guess would be the question. And it doesn't really look that way. It doesn't look like they care. It doesn't look like they don't care. I mean, they haven't wiped us out of existence or anything, but they don't seem to have gone out of their way to enlighten our species or help us to understand the universe or maybe to help us to become a better species than what we are. None of that seems to be going on. Let's be honest about that. Uh, Brenda, what freaking planet do you live on? Okay, you obviously do not live on Earth. So right now, China's off doing its thing, Russia's off doing its thing, we're off doing our thing, our allies are off doing its thing. Literally, there are military all around. Just yesterday, the United States landed within 150 miles of where Putin was born. A special force, the 86th Airborne, was dropped yesterday, and a special mission, just practice, but just to let them know, hey, we just blow into your village, wipe you out before you know what the hell's going on, and then we'll slow you down until our allies can get here to back us up. You know, I hate to say this, I'm 58 years old, and I've been doing this a long time, and been living in the world a long time, and I really thought by now we would have gotten past some of this ridiculousness. I mean, some of this is just ignorance. I mean, really, I mean, Putin doesn't want to blow himself up. He's got a daughter and kids, and he don't want to wipe himself out. Xi Jinping don't want to wipe himself out. I ain't going to say about Biden because I'm not sure about him, but the rest of the planet doesn't want to wipe itself out. So why is this ongoing, constant thing that we're always on the edge of, oh, we're going to wipe ourselves out? And then it's like my global warming friends and my green friends and all. They're always like, we're killing the planet, Joe. You don't understand, you ass. We're killing the planet. No, we're not killing the planet. There's nothing that man can do to kill the planet. We can kill ourselves, mind you. We can do shit to the planet that's going to have bad repercussions on us, but we can't kill the planet, no. The planet's already been through 6 great extinctions. When it gets tired of us, it'll wipe us out like it did the other ones. Yeah, humans forget that. We're always so arrogant that we're smarter than Mother Nature. Or we're going to outsmart her or something. Well, there's other extinctions that prove that that doesn't happen. So, in the grand scheme of things, we're not doing anything but killing ourselves. And really, does the planet even care that a bunch of heathens like us are killing ourselves? I mean, come on. Every day we're dumping toxins into the water, polluting the air. And, a lot of contactees always tell me that, well, that's what the aliens. No, that is not what the aliens are here for. If the aliens wanted us to clean up the freaking planet, they would hover over Moscow, China, India, and Russia and say, hey, clean it up, or guess what? You're going to become extinct, and it's not going to be because of your pollution makes you that way. And then, wipe out a city or two, and I guarantee you things would get easier. Humans, unfortunately, are hard-headed and don't like to change until they have to. And it's not just Americans, and it's not Canadians, it's not just the Brits, it's not just the free world, it's the non-free world, the communists. Everybody's egotistical, and they don't want to change. And it's like this disclosure thing. So I got a friend of mine lives in China, by the way. Good friend of mine, I've been knowing her for about 10 years now. And she always tells me, You damn Americans would just disclose, the world would be a better place. Look, first off, I agree. If we knew enough to disclose, I agree it would be a different world. Better or not, I don't know, but it would be a different world. But let's be honest. Why would America disclose? First off, let's look at it from America. Let's not even look at it from America's point of view. Let's just look at it from the politician's point of view, because America infers that the people are on board with this. So you've got, the current. We'll just use the current government because they're the ones in power. So first off, can Joe Biden make this decision to disclose on his own? And does he even know? I don't even think he knows. Most presidents don't get told. Trump just assumed, but he wasn't told. Neither was Clinton, and Clinton wanted to know bad. Obama didn't know anything about it. Baby Bush probably knew, but only because of Cheney and his daddy. Daddy Bush knew. Daddy Bush is the one who told Reagan. Everybody forgets, but Daddy Bush was CIA, head of the CIA before he was vice president. And then he was VP for 8 years, and then he was president for 4 years. So this guy had the three highest offices in the country. Yeah, if anybody knows what the hell was going on, it was him. It kind of scared me, but it was him. I mean, he would have known because he had the most connections out of everybody. And his president, the guy he worked for, instituted Pine Gap. It was the Joint British Defense of Outer Space, which is still down there in Australia. Pine Gap, Australia, it's still down there, it still exists. Even though both governments tried to deny it and say, oh, no, we closed it down in 2000. Then we found manifest on the internet from where they had been buying stuff in 2010, 2015, 2018. So they still exist. He also instituted the Star Wars, the laser defense shield, which these lasers he was building were far too powerful for knocking missiles down. Maybe if you hovered one over a city, you could melt it or something. These things were they were massive. I know some of y'all hadn't seen them because the ones that they were letting NASA and Los Alamos play with were downsized. These things, what they were doing with them out at Los Alamos is they were making these big silver discs with these vents on them, and they would set them on top of the laser and they would superheat it and shoot the thing into space. Yeah, they were trying to figure out a new way to launch things into space. That was cool, but that's not what the laser was designed for. But that was just a small laser compared to the ones they were building. The ones they were building were just, I don't know what the hell they were. They had planned on putting them on platforms. These things were like terrorist weapons. Yeah, man. I mean, you could have just like passed over one of those Middle Eastern cities and just wiped the whole damn thing out with 2 or 3 strokes. Make a big A in it or something. It's crazy the way these things were. And then, of course, he instituted the Hawk facility. Mm-hmm. And remember, he's the only president I know of that said, on 7 occasions, he said this. An alien invasion would really bring the world closer together. We'd all learn how to work together and become one, which he's right. But why would he say that? Why would he institute? He's instituting programs for the defense of our country, and he's telling the world you should get your ass together. And for some reason, the media just ignored it. And he was a Republican. You thought the media would have been all over it. I'm confused, people. But again, that was an avenue into disclosure. I had seen something on Nimitz when I was in service, and I know there's been other reports of other sailors that have seen something on Nimitz, but I learned something about 5 years ago from a group of friends of mine I served with in the service. Most retired now, but so on the Nimitz itself, this had become almost a quarterly event. So if you sailed on this ship through maybe 1982 up until maybe 2002, you've probably seen this. Even though they cleared a deck for it, you've probably been pervy or knew someone who's seen it or something. Nobody knows exactly why it goes on. Some people said maybe it was some kind of refueling thing or something they were getting because, Nimitz is a nuclear carrier. But, no, she's retired now, right? I thought they retired in Nimitz. Or going to retire if they haven't. It was a strange thing. And I have seen more sailors are coming out about it. I haven't seen any hardcore officers come out about it yet, but I have seen it. I've told what I've seen, and a friend of mine came on with me and told what he saw. And we know what those other 4 sailors have reported. And there's been a couple other sailors besides that have reported. These are different events at different times. And Nimitz, you forget, people, until recently, in the last decade or so, the Nimitz was the flagship. She was the most powerful thing afloat, anywhere afloat, in any navy. She's not anymore. She's still powerful. Don't get me wrong. She still wipe out a damn fleet. Um, but that's not what she is anymore. She's gonna be retired now. Yeah, we're going with the bigger carriers, the big super carriers, and you put the Nimitz on top of it. Don't get me wrong, Nimitz was a super carrier when everybody starts writing to me, but not compared to today's carriers. No, no, I don't want to get in any trouble with any of my Navy friends. But there's a lot of people who had reported seeing UFOs when I was in the service. And being that I was an air there, I worked with all the pilots and all the people would join hooked to the pilots. But I was electronics. I worked with everybody. It was one of the nice things about what I did. And I had to have cross certifications, which made the Navy more fun for me. So I had my advanced avionics degrees, and I also had my advanced avionics degrees. So it's advanced electronics, advanced avionics. I had to know both of them because of what I was working on. It's carrier duty. But because I worked in the reactor room sometimes, and sometimes I worked in the conning tower, and sometimes I worked on the jets, and sometimes I worked on the weapon systems, I had to have this outrageously massive security clearance. And it's funny, I like to tell a story because I never thought about it when I was in the service when I applied. And I had done 6 months with SEAL training when I decided I didn't want to go around killing people. So I had scored really, really, really high on my ASVAB test in electronics. So I said, hey, I called my commander and said, hey, look, I'd like to switch MOS and go into electronics. He said, okay, that's fine. He said, I can understand you don't want to go around killing people. And I was like, that's cool. And so anyway, they transferred me into electronics, and I just scored really, really, really unbelievably high. And went through the first 2 courses on avionics, electronics, like in a third of the time it should take. And what's great about the Navy, by the way, or any military for that matter, so you take your lessons in a class like everybody else, but they give you books and modules, so you do it at your own pace. Now that pace can get you tossed out of class if it's too slow, but if you're really really fast, it can also get you because I got what they call rental ranks. So I had 0 stripes when I joined. I got 3 coming out of boot camp. 4 months into tech school, I got what they call a renter crew, which is an E4. Um, it's almost unheard of. Yeah, it's just one of them things people were like, wow. And then I was offered a warrant officer's position, and I said no because I was happy where I was, but what I was doing at school anyway. And then when I graduated out of advanced electronics and I was finishing up advanced avionics, they offered me OTS, and I was like, ooh, man, I thought about that hard. And then I said, no, I didn't want to be a lifer. And OTS would have already had a 6-year commitment with them. 3 years of active, 3 years of reserve. That was 6 years of my life already committed. And of course, I would have had to go to college for them and got out. It would have been at least another 6, maybe 8-year commitment. But it gave me 14 years in the Navy. If you spend that much time, you might as well go ahead and retire. And that wasn't what I was looking for. I mean, don't get me wrong. I got a great education in the Navy. I'll never hate on that. What I learned, it made me so easy to get the bachelor's when I got out because of what the Navy taught me. It was just a breeze. It was just, yeah, it was just, I'll tell a story one day to y'all, but it was just like, oh my God. So it was just a great thing. But anyway, because of all of that, so, I tell people this all the time. I'm probably the only ufologist that actually has a pedigree for ufology. And I mean that I do have degrees in advanced avionics and advanced electronics, also in advanced aircraft recognition because I was on the board of a carrier, which everybody basically has to have. If you're a flight deck, if you're a regular flight deck, you have to know aircraft recognition. Oh, yeah, it's required. You better know every damn thing that flies in the sky. You better never mess up because it's on you, whoever gets killed after that. It's just part of it. And let me tell you what, some of those guys, they'd hear them coming before they'd know by the Prairie engine who it was. Oh yeah, if it was an Iranian or something. Man, look, I was deployed when the 2 Iranian planes that blew over the Enterprise that day. That was such a crazy thing. We sat on the flight deck for like 48 hours waiting to be deployed. Yeah, we thought we were going to be really, really deployed, but no, we got to go back to school after that. So it was an interesting little scenario. But while I was in the service, I met so many pilots that had such weird experiences. I was talking, well, we were doing the bombing derby in Fallon, Nevada. Well, so when you go to a bombing derby, it's like 48 hours on, 24 hours off. It's like 16 days long. And it's nonstop. And sometimes the Air Force brings their people. But anyway, you got all these Navy pilots out there, and they're running nonstop, bombing the shit out of everything they can find out in the desert. And we're on duty nonstop. So usually you would spend 48 hours on and about 28 hours off, actually. And those were just spent at a place down the road. So it's just nonstop. Well, while you're sitting and drinking and talking and eating or working, even you're talking. Everybody's talking to each other to keep your brain going and keep your mind on what it's supposed to be on. And these pilots would be telling you stories about shit they seen that make your hair curl. I was talking to three of them. They were flying an escort to a Russian Soyuz flight that came into Atlantic water area near the Bermuda Triangle, and they was escorting it along the edge of the triangle away from the United States. Nobody knew where it came from because it was too far. It couldn't have flown from Russia, or somewhere else had to come from a ship from somewhere, a boat from somewhere, but they couldn't find it. So they was escorting it until it was way outside of U.S. water, and then they turned back. He said, and as they turned back, they had noticed because the Russian pilot actually came on the speaker and was speaking broken English, was what they called it, and said, "Do you see that? Do you see that?" And the guy's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And when he looked out the left side of his plane, he noticed there was some kind of weird glowing orangish. He said it grew like orange, and then it edged out in this blue. He said it was probably 200 meters around, and it was cruising above the water, maybe 200 feet above the water, and it was cruising probably Mach 5, Mach 6. They were clocking it. They actually turned before they contacted their commander to turn to chase it to see what it was. The Russian pilot actually was going to engage, but he's probably running low on fuel. They said he just banked out and cut across it. I guess he was headed for everywhere he was going to go land. And they said they chased it for a few minutes, and then they got a thing, don't chase it, and come back. So they turned around and came back. Never, by the way, did they ever enter the Bermuda Triangle, even though most pilots will tell you they're not scared of it. These guys never entered it, at least not on that occasion. Because it was very, very freaky, very strange. The whole thing was very surreal. It was moving very fast. He said he wouldn't say how fast he was going. I knew what kind of plane he was going, so I already knew what his top speed was. I know what the official speeds of all the jets are, and the official speeds of the carriers, not the one they put in the book. Yeah, there's a book you can buy with all the Navy secrets in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what was it? 62 knots. And originally, the first time I read it, it was at 38 knots, and then it was 62 knots. And it's fast, and I can't tell you how fast it is. And I couldn't tell you today anyway. They probably souped up the engines even more. But no, it's amazing how fast they make them big ass ships go. I'm just telling you, people, you'd be surprised. Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised. I was out on the deck one day, and my hair was going, "Shh, what the hell?" Because we had just did a wind check, to see what the wind was, because we were getting ready to start doing launches, and there was no wind at all. That's why we were hauling ass. The carrier's nose to the wind, hauling ass. Yeah, it helps give you lift at the end of the runway. Yeah, because the air is pushing up underneath it. Anyway, it's not stuff y'all need to know about. But these pilots were always reporting seeing something. We're in Pacific Pac, just crossed the equator my first time. So when you cross the equator the first time, they do all kind of nasty shit to you. Not mean stuff, but it's your first time across, so they're going to torture you. Anyway, so we're all getting cleaned up and getting ready to get on duty when we get a duty alarm. So everybody's running around half dressed, running up on the deck trying to see what's going on. When it looked like 3 silver discs cruising along, didn't even pay any attention to the ship. We're just cruising along like we weren't even there, just blew right by us. We could see them out for a good ways because it was a pretty day, and you could really see them moving. And then they made like a bank left, and they were gone. You couldn't see them at all anymore. Didn't even acknowledge us. Didn't flap no wing and nothing. They just kept on going. I'm sure they knew we were there because we knew they were there, but didn't seem to bother them any. We've had pilots come in where they've chased these things. They still get what I call Foo Fighter reports. They don't like calling them that anymore, but it's really what they are. They just screw with the pilots. They'll run up on them, mess around, do loop-de-loops around a jet, jump out in front of the jet, slow down, go back behind the jet, just doing maneuvers that nothing we have can do now. That's a partial truth today. We do have drones that can reproduce a lot of these movements, not these speeds, mind you, but these movements. You got to remember, a jet cruising along at Mach 3, for something to blow by it has to really be Mach 6, Mach 7, Mach 8, something like that. And to be able to stop and then catch back up with it again from a dead stop, oh man, it's got to really be booking. It's just not a technology we possess yet. But when you look at the drones, so for our problems today is not so much that we can't figure these technologies out. We can't figure out the power supply we need. Put this in perfect perspective. They got these really cool suits you can wear. What are rocket packs? That's not what they actually are anymore, but that's what they call them still, right? These things are badass. I watched one guy took off a boat, flew up, landed on another boat. You can use these in combat. You can do all kind of stuff with them. You know how long a fuel supply can carry? 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes. So this thing is bad to the bone. This could revolutionize science in ways for us, especially in the battlefield that we never even considered. We could do on-site raids on ships. We wouldn't even have to use our weapons. It would just be a way different way, especially if you roll them in with rocket launchers on their shoulders. Oh shit, it'd be hard to combat that, man. So, but 5 minutes, that's not gonna last real long when you're dodging bullets. I'm just saying, especially if the ship puts it in overdrive trying to get away. I'm just saying, guys, it ain't a lot of time. But we do have these technologies now. We just have to find ways to, we need some type of new fuel source, some type of condensed, maybe helium-3, dark matter, antimatter, something that can give us unlimited power and about the size of a golf ball or orange or something. And it's not real heavy, not too dense. And that could get us around. But getting back to what we were talking about, so I can personally tell you I've talked to more than 200 pilots that have had sightings. That's military pilots. I've probably talked to another 40 or 50 airline pilots that have sightings. I've probably talked to more cops than that total that have had sightings. And God help you for all the truckers I've talked to over the years that have had sightings. So with all of these people having sightings, I've talked to politicians. I've talked to at least 2 different senators and at least 10 different senators' aides in the last 20 years of doing this. And still, it's not changed anything. And I'm not the only one out there doing this. There's lots of other people out there doing this. The problem is why would the government disclose? I guess that's really what the question is. So we all want disclosure. Disclosure of what? That extraterrestrials exist. Okay, that's fine. So Joe Biden comes out tomorrow. Good evening, world. I just wanted to tell y'all that extraterrestrials live. Aliens, people. You know what extraterrestrials are? Aliens, yes. They exist. And they come to our planet from time to time and visit. And that's going to be the end of the conversation. Because the reporter's going to start, what are they doing here? What are alien abductions real? Are they doing this? I don't know. What's Biden going to say? He can't say yes, because that opens up the government for a lawsuit. Because every contact A&M mom is going to pop out and sue. And then God help you, but you might have 50 million all of a sudden that's been getting abducted because they think they're going to get $1 million or something. I'm just saying, people, it's crazy. And then if the government does disclose, then we have to disclose to our allies of whatever technologies we've been keeping secret, which is going to piss them off. And of course, when the Chinese and the Russians find out what we've been keeping secret, it's going to really piss them off. So how do you do this? As you're the government, how do you do this? How do you disclose without consequences? Because right now it's going to be nothing but consequences. I mean, there's no way around the consequences of disclosure. And we're just talking about what's going to happen to our government. We haven't even got into the consequences of politicians, governments, economies, and religions, which we're going to talk about all of those. So here we are. We're on the verge of discovery. Good evening. This is NBC News, and Joe Biden's coming on in just a few minutes, and he's going to tell you that extraterrestrials are real right here live on Wednesday night. So here comes Joe Biden. Hi, I'm Joe Biden. Yes, and I have to tell you, people, that extraterrestrials are here. Not exactly sure why. They wouldn't exactly tell me all that information, but still, they did tell me that they are here and have been here for quite some time. So don't be alarmed if you see a UFO in the sky. It's just our alien friends from above. And then he'll leave. Again, not really telling us anything because he doesn't really know what to tell us. And frankly, the government doesn't know as much as people think they know, because ET has no reason to disclose to our government about what they're really doing on our planet. They don't have to. The government can't force them to. And there's no need for them. That's why the aliens from time to time get pissed off, when they find out that the government's been screwing around in one of the areas where they may have been taking one of their contactees, military abduction or something. It hacks them off. So ET's here. Okay, now he's disclosed, and then now I'm telling you right off the bat, the first thing that's going to happen is everybody who's ever been abducted is going to sue the government. You allowed them to take me and probe me and do things to me that they shouldn't do to anyone. And I want to be compensated for it. Okay. Whether that'll happen or not, I don't think anybody's going to get compensated, but it will come out and we'll make a burden on the government. And then our allies are going to start bitching nonstop. Well, you should have told us. What did you find out? What do you know? What kind of technology you got? Can you do this? Can you do that? And then, of course, our enemies are going to be like, oh my God, this is an act of war. And then you've got secret alien technology and we need to have it. And oh my, it's going to be a furball. And then on top of this furball, while everybody's jockeying around, the world already, in case y'all didn't know this, ladies and gentlemen, but let's see, there is about 2 billion Christians, about 1.5 billion to 750,000,000 Muslims. So we just say 2, that's 4 billion right there. When you get into the rest of the Indian populations and all, it's about 6.2, 6.5 billion people on the planet that are religious, that still practice religion. I know in America they want you to think that religion is dead and God is gone, but that is not true. Even in this country, 55% of people still practice religion, 70% still believe in God, or I'm sorry, 75% still believe in a main God. And then there's other, but only less than 6% of the country don't believe in any kind of God. So it's not like God's going away. It's just kind of being hidden by the media. They don't want you to, have any morals or something. I don't know what the hell that's about. But the point being is, all of a sudden, people are going to become much more religious because aliens are here. We don't know what the aliens want or what they're going to do here. That's not going to make me go to church because I'm going to just want to know what the aliens are up to, what they're doing. I don't think going and praying in a church is going to get the aliens to disclose what they're doing any faster than anything else. So, but a lot of people will need that comfort, and they'll need that group to get together to feel safe. I'm an induction investigator, Mark. It's not something that's going to really faze me that much because they're not so much here to wipe us out or kill us or eat us or share our emotions or share our beds or anything. They have a couple of agendas. Actually, have several agendas, but the main agendas involve them, not us. And what I mean by that, we're a part of that agenda. I mean, we are a part of the agenda that they're running, but we're not the main part by any means. They're not here changing themselves with us. They're here changing us with their selves. Yeah, it's the people get confused about that. It's just egotistical man is what it is. We want to think we're the most important thing in the universe, and the aliens came here because they needed us. So 3 different alien races, not including the light beings or the cleanup crews, but the 3 main abduction crews, the Greys, reptilians, and humans, came here because they needed us. And you say, I got a big ego. Shit. I ain't got nothing on the planet. I'm just saying, people. They didn't come here for that. Originally, if you go back to the Sumerian text, you'll find out that the Sumerians talked about a race that came here, a human-like race that built these dome cities and stuff. They were the human aliens, and they were probably the first aliens that actually screwed around with our DNA. We all know we got a reptilian section in our brain. Part 2, when the reptilians intervened on our behalf and gave us, I guess, sentient would be the best way to call it. We became self-aware of who and what we were and what the hell was going on and why we were a slave race. We all decided to rebel. And I guess later on, they sent the Greys here as the peacekeepers who decided for some reason to put their DNA into us too, probably with brought O negative around. The problem with all this is it's circumspect to start off with because we can only get it from when we talk to contactees or abductees. And even though we have matching stories from literally thousands of them, it's still not Bob the Gray or my favorite Gray, Bubbles. It doesn't come up and say, hey, that's how it is. One day I'll introduce y'all to Bob and Bubbles the Gray, B&B, the B&B family. Yes. Well, you can catch Bubbles later on. She hosts with Michelle DeRoche, yes, with the fabulous Michelle DeRoche, who actually hosts with me on Saturdays on the Gray Zone Uncensored. Yes. Mm-hmm. I know that was a nice segue all the way around there, wasn't it? But really, so again, what is it you're going to give the government that's going to allow them to disclose? Because the military could have gave you more. And by the way, we need to give credit where credit's due. The only reason we're getting this is because Trump had a hissy fit, one of his hissy fits, and did an executive order that made this possible. But this isn't disclosure. This is just they had to release what they had for X amount of time. They had to release it, which I thought was a cool thing. But it doesn't prove extraterrestrial existence, though. All these great crafts still don't prove extraterrestrial existence. And why is it when there's a mass sighting? So there's been several mass sightings in D.C., but There's a lot of people in DC. What, 800,000, 900,000 people live in DC? You never hear about more than 20 or 30 of them, maybe 100 seeing these mass sightings. Mexico City, thing hung in the air for 28 hours. More than 1 million people seen it. That's a crazily mass sighting. Okay, yeah, okay. But there's 22 million people in Mexico City. What happened to the other 21 million? Why didn't they see it? Phoenix, Arizona, Phoenix light sites. What about 21,000 people, I think, seen it all together? How many people live in Phoenix? 2 million, 3 million? What happened to the rest of them? Why didn't they see it? And this thing, there was another one that was up there forever. The Belgium sightings, the big black triangles. This thing floated over the city for almost a day. And a bunch of people seen it, like 30 some thousand people reported seeing it, including some NATO Air Force people, but still. Where was everybody else? Why didn't nobody else see it? The NATO pilot was great, by the way. So they had 3 NATO pilots. There was one from America. I think one was from Italy, and another guy was from Spain. But anyway, it was funny listening to him talk. So somebody had reported seeing this big black triangle over this Belgian village. This wasn't a village, it was a town. And NATO had sent them out to see it. So they were approaching it, and this thing must have been huge because they're talking about this. As they're approaching it, and as they got closer, one of the pilots was asking, "Should we engage? Should we engage? Engage?" And the pilot's like, and the NATO guy is like, "No." She sounded like it was German. It was just crazy listening to these guys. But anyway, he's like, "No, no, 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 don't engage, don't engage. Approach with caution." And they said they started getting closer, and they noticed they started having an instrument problem. And the lead guy peeled off and came back around. He noticed his instrument straightened out, so he told the other guys not to approach any closer because they were scared, they'd have instrument failure in the thing. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, NATO came back on and said, return to base, return to base. Radar glitch, return to base. That was what it was. They reported it as now remember, these pilots seen this thing, but NATO reported it as a radar glitch and had the pilots return. You even heard 2 of the pilots going, "What? It's still here, right?" And they're like, "No, it's a radar glitch, return to base." It's one of the first accounts of the big black triangles, not the small ones. Like the ones you see in the USA are usually TR3Bs. For whatever the name is now, the code name they use from now, but that's basically what they are. But the big ones, they belong to human aliens. And what they're doing when they're floating around like that inside our atmosphere, that close to the ground, you got to wonder. Maybe mass abduction of some kind. Maybe they're looking for something. I don't know. Those are big craft to be just floating around in the sky. And the best part is they look like a balloon up there floating. They're just kind of. You see, you can go a couple places in the country and see this. One of the places near me is near the Stennis NASA facility. There's a highway that leads up to the gate. If you go over there at night, especially during the weeknight, say between like 7, well, right now it'd be between about 8:30 p.m. and about midnight, you just lay in there looking at the stars. Every now and then you'll notice that everything gets real quiet around you, and then when you look up, you don't see any stars. You just see like just a blackness. That's when it's passing over you. And you can see as it passes over because the stars start coming out back behind it again. So you know something just passed over you. They've been low enough before that we've actually felt a breeze from them. But yeah, they just come hovering over, quiet as can be. No lights on, no nothing on. We've seen them with the lights on, but when they're out there for some reason, because you can't see them. And that part above interstate up there, there's nothing but woods and NASA. Woods and NASA, that's it. So yeah, it's a great place. And then they cut back down to the Michoud facility, which is all swamp till you get to there. And then from the Michoud facility, they cut across the Gulf of Mexico because we've got shrimp boats and other cruise boats and all reported seeing them out there. We even have other aircraft reported seeing them out there, even though radar never gets them. And then so basically what it looks like they do is they leave somewhere probably out of Eglin Air Force Base, fly north up through Florida till you get in that wooded area because it's all swamp and woods, and then head west above the tree lines all the way above Interstate 10 until they get to Mississippi, and then they make a left headed towards Louisiana through the swamp, and then they hit the Gulf and go back. It seems something like they regularly do. I mean, they've been seen countless times now. No, they're not alien, they're ours. Well, I'm assuming they're ours because of where they're flying. Yeah, because they're flying over our facilities. Well, the NASA Michoud and the NASA Stennis facility are still security facilities. Well, you know what's funny about them? They are technically civilian, but they have military interest, and we almost always have military on NASA bases, like the Oceanographic Societies up here. But we also keep part of the National Guard there. Yeah, don't ask me. Maybe they scared ET going to show up or something. But going back, Clara, I'm going to go back to that right now. So, what is it are we going to give our government, the United States government, and for any government, if anybody's listening, because we know it's a round the world show, what are you going to give to your government to say, okay, disclose? Are you willing to give your government blanket amnesty on everything they've done to keep this a secret, and everything they've done to keep this a secret? Are you willing to give them this amnesty? Because that's what's going to be required here. Somewhere along the line, the government's just going to say, look, we want to tell y'all, but we need blanket amnesty because we weren't the guys who started this. We're just the guys who's ending this. But, there were lots of people involved in this along how many of the years this has been going on. And we can't sell them down the river. We got to give them amnesty. So are you willing to give, because I'm sure some nasty stuff has been done to keep this secret. Just the compartmentalizing alone has probably caused some nasty issues. So, are you really, really willing to give up your freedoms in this area and say, okay, you know what? Yeah, just tell us the truth and you can walk. And what happens if you found out some pretty nasty military abductions went on in between? Are you still going to be fine with the walking? Or what happens when you find out that they knew completely and well that the aliens were taking you and they even knew what they were doing to you? Are you still going to be okay with that? I'm just saying, you're going to have to give the government something. And I think that's what they're going to want is blanket. Blanket amnesty sounds like the only way they're going to be able to get out of this. And I really feel like that's the way they're going to want it. What do you mean, Mark? Of course, everybody's got a reptilian section in their brain. Who the hell told you that? Look. You don't have to take me at my word and look it up for yourself. Yeah. Oh, yes, it is. Just type in reptilian section in your brain. What do you mean? Why'd God do that? Oh, really? What did you say that for? Are you blaming God for a reptilian section in the brain? Oh, because he created it. He put a reptilian section in her brain. Well, maybe he created it, and maybe Eve got funky donkey with a reptile. Come on, you don't know that. Well, I'm just saying, you don't know. You really don't. No, I'm sorry, guys. I shouldn't be reading while I'm talking. Um, no, we all got a reptilian section in our brain. It's without it, we would be wimps. It does more than that, though. It actually does a lot of stuff, people. You should read up on it. I was quite impressed when I found out about it. The blood type study is what led me to it. About 24 years ago, when I got involved with the blood type study, it led me to it. It led me to a lot of things, actually. The blood type study was an interesting thing because knowing that ET had a particular taste for a particular blood or a particular eye color surprised me. And it's not so much they got a taste for it; it just seems to be the way they're breeding too. Because let's be honest. Rh negative is only 15% of the world's population, and back 40,000 years ago when it emerged on the scene, it was 0% of the population. So in 40,000 years, it's managed to get 15%. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good strong movement from 0 to 15% in 40,000 years. No, Christopher, man had Rh positive blood and brown eyes and brown hair for most of his existence. Yes. Um, no, that's just who we were. That's just we were Rh positive, whether it was A or B or O, I have no idea, but we were Rh positive, and we were brown hair and probably brown skin. That was the overall majority of the planet. And today, I hate to say, it still is the overall majority of the planet. It's 85% of the planet or more. Colored eyes, depending on what study you want to take, 4 to 8%. So we'll compromise and say 6%. So that means 94% of the planet has brown eyes. Did you know that? Yeah. Rh negative is only 15%. It means 85% of the world has Rh positive blood. You figure it out, people. But yet, overwhelmingly, the majority of contactees are Rh negative. There's a reason why. There's actually several reasons why, but for us, it's different because it's not just the fact that we found this about them. We also found out that this is relatively new. Rh negative isn't like it's been in humans' history. It also does not share common ancestry with the rhesus monkey. Um, well, that's what the Rh factor is. It stands for the rhesus monkey. Rh positive people share a common gene with the rhesus monkey. Rh negative people don't. What do you mean? What does it mean? Nobody knows what it. Well, we have some ideas what it means, but it's different. There's a difference there. For some reason, there's a divergence. 40,000 years ago, there seems to be a divergence in the human race, and it seems to be growing. Give us another 40,000 years, and it may be 30, 40, 50% of the population may be arch negative. Remember, again, the majority of the population everybody was Rh positive. There was a reason why, because Rh negative people and Rh positive people have problems having children together. A lot of times the kids will be stillborn because the Rh positive RNA wants to kill the Rh negative. The DNA is like, what are you doing in my body? They think it's an invader and tries to kill it. So some guy in Australia found out had a particular gene. They created what I never pronounce it right, but the anti-dinogen D gene, which they give everybody. You can get a shot now. So back in the day, before the shot was invented, you had to get a blood test before you got married to find out if you were compatible. Nobody actually knew why, but that's why, because Rh negative and Rh positive people can have stillborn children. So that's why they had the blood type to tell you if you should have babies or not. Now you don't have to. You can get a shot. Science moves along. But still, it's anti-nature. So that's why you got to think, why would Mother Nature create something that's anti-Mother Nature, anti-procreation for that matter? Because without the denizen G gene shot and without knowing, there could have been a lot more dead babies running around. And it might even curb the population a little bit. Because anybody who was sleeping with an Rh negative versus Rh positive were probably having stillborn babies. And since it was encroached into 15% of the population, if you're sleeping with these people and you're all Rh positive, then you're having no babies. I don't know. It's a strange thing that Mother Nature would even create something like that. And then Rh negative is the purest form of blood known to man. Actually, O negative is the purest form of blood known to man. Not only is it the universal donor that everybody can take it, but it is by far the purest form of blood known to man. It's where almost all of our hematological research comes from. It in itself advanced us in ways that we can't. It's just different, and the fact that it could be the universal donor tells you it's different because none of the other bloods can. Somebody the other day said, "Well, it's not the rarest blood, Joe. It's 7%." That's true. It's not, but the two rarest bloods are 1.5% each. That's AB. That's AB negative and AB positive. They're 1.5% each. That's true, but they can both take Rh negative. So technically they're 8.5% because they can still take Rh negative, but Rh negative can't take anybody's blood but their own. Anybody else's blood will kill them, but their blood can be. You figure this out on your own. Think about this hard, people, because this is a substantial thing. These people can give you their blood and you can live and survive and thrive. But if you give them your blood, you will kill them dead as a doornail unless it's Rh negative. I'm sorry, O negative. It will kill them dead as a doornail. But Rh negative can give their blood to anybody else. Yeah, but there's no difference between us. Yeah, that's not true. There are differences between humans on this planet. I don't know why we still here in 2021 try to act like, I know we all want to, we should treat everybody as they're created equal. That's what we should do because that's what a good society should do. But putting your head in the sand and thinking that everybody's created equal is ignorant because they're not. Obviously, there are people on this planet that are much more brilliant than others. People are gifted in so many different ways. So this one might. It's just ridiculous to think that everybody is the same because we're not the same. It's one of the things that makes our planet great is we're diversified. We're just a talented group of people going in a million different directions. It's one of the things that's nice about us. But for some reason, our part of our population wants to hide it like it's a bad thing. No, it's not a bad thing. There's differences between us. You just can't treat people different because there's differences. That's where the problem comes in. It's not the fact that there are differences. That's every human on the planet. You just can't treat them that way. No, Glenn, E.T. didn't tell me to say that. I don't know where you got that from, but no, E.T. didn't tell me to say that. I don't know. Do we think it's possible that the Rh negative could have been brought here by maybe the Greys or something and introduced to our population? Well, somebody did it or something did it. I just can't see why Mother Nature did not. And I have asked several. We worked when I first got involved in this. We worked with three very heavy hitter hematologists on this. And I told them in the beginning what we did. And I told them we would never mention their names or anything. That we just wanted to use their maps and their research. But we wouldn't. And anyway, it worked out pretty good for a while. And then they turned us on to two more after that. So it was five of them that worked on this study altogether. And even they were amazed at the sheer amount of people that were Rh negative that were being taken and with the colored eye thing. And none of them had realized this until I had said this. But when you look at Hollywood people or musicians or even politicians, the majority of them, more than half, have colored eyes. And since only 4% of the freaking population has that, that tells you something right there. Um, some people are bred to lead, and some people are bred to go, machine. I'm just saying, people. I'm not the one who made it up. I'm just saying. Some of y'all are sheeple, and some of y'all are not. No, you mean eye color makes them sheeple? No, I don't think so. I got a lot of brown-eyed friends that are not sheeples by any means. Oh, I don't even think they would be. I wouldn't even call them that if I was you. I think it would upset them. Yes, Karina, that is a Rolodex behind me, right next to the skull. Yeah, the old school. So it's probably full too. Yeah, that thing's older than I am. I think. I don't know, but still, here we are in 2021 and no disclosure. I got friends out there every day screaming disclosure. I hear Stephen Bissett all the time. This is going to be the year. This is going to be the year. And I hope he's right. I tell him this all the time. I hope he's right. I don't think he is, but I hope he is. If he's right, I'll be the first one to be, "Whoo, yeah, Stephen, go, baby." Yeah, I won't even have any problem with it. Oh, hell no. I like Stephen. And I like that he's got optimism and he keeps pushing it every year because he might be the one who kicks the right ball and gets it rolling. So, uh, he, but still. So, again, let's go back to what we were talking about. So, Joe Biden discloses, and we decide to give him amnesty and say, okay, we're not going to come after you. We just want to know what you know. And he tells us what he knows. Now, where do we go? ET still isn't going to disclose because ET don't give a blank if you humans know anything. You humans, that's what they call you, by the way. Humans. I've heard him say it. Anyway, I couldn't resist. Yes. All right, smart ass ever wrote that. The human thing, if you ever watch sci-fi, you'll notice that a lot of aliens call us humans. It's some sci-fi thing, but there's lots of different ones. Yeah, there's three just in Deep Space Nine alone. It does. There's several in different Star Treks. There is Star Wars. I don't think so because Earth's not a thing in Star Wars. So Star Trek, yes. Several call us humans. Yeah, there's lots of other sci-fi, like Babylon 5, places like that. Yeah, just recently I was watching Altered Carbon humans. Yes, maybe it's an insult or a slang. How the hell do I know? The aliens don't tell me. If they told me everything, guys, I'd be retired now. Hmm. Hmm. Uh, oh, Fernandez. Sorry, I thought that said something entirely different, dude. I'm sorry. Where are you writing in from? Brazil. What hello down in Brazil? No, I ain't never been, but I'd love to go. Well, once the COVID's over, I'd love to go. Yeah, I hear y'all getting sort of back to normal like us. No, I got friends down there. They say it's great down there, man. Oh yeah. It's always gonna be some negative story, but you can find out about the United States too. So anyway, what you got for us? Oh my God, I did. So I remember this. You talking about I remember this. So anyway, Fernandez is asking me about a video that we had put out a while back. It was 10, 12 years ago. So a gentleman from, was it Juarez, Mexico? I can't remember. Somewhere down, right, way down. And he was from Mexico. This wasn't where the picture was taken, though. It was actually taken further down in another desert further down. So he sends me this picture, and he's in his truck, and he's driving. And the first picture is you see this massive dust cloud just covering the horizon. It's a massive cloud. And it looks like there's rain underneath it, like hitting the ground or something. He stops his truck. He gets out, got a regular camera, not talking no phone camera. He's a regular camera. Gets out, zoomed in, and takes another picture. So in the second picture, you see big, massive dust storm above. Then you see what looks to be a dish shape, and whatever this is that's hitting the ground is bouncing back and forth because you can see it goes, some going up, some going down, some going up. It's going like this. So it's something that's keeping it off the ground. And this thing can't be more than 50 feet off the ground, and it is massive. It's covering the whole side of the sky where he's looking. I mean, this thing is massive, whatever it was. And it's just coming towards him. He snaps a couple more shots, and he tells me, he said, yeah, so I remember when you were on the phone with that guy Avery talking about, should I still be here? And he said, no, maybe you should leave. He said, I got that same damn feeling, John. Got in the truck at holidays. We talk to as many people we can live when we can. You can't always do it, but sometimes when events are going on, we can catch them live. If they get hold of us live, or one of us live, I should say. It's on the internet somewhere still. It's probably on the iCar site somewhere still. There's a couple hundred pictures on the iCar site, but it's up there, along with the one that Jason took down there in Blunt Island, Florida. Oh, that's a great one too, with the big portal in the sky with the UFO going in the portal. The first place we ever debuted that picture was on Coast to Coast, a long time ago, too, like 15 years ago. Well, it's weird today because there's 14 billion more cameras out there, but yet there seems to be less pictures. I'm confused by that. So ET's flying all over, and as my fellow researchers would tell me, oh, Joe, anybody can shoot UFO. It's not just contactees or abductees, which, by the way, I don't believe. I think only abductees and contactees can shoot UFOs, but they want to contradict me all the time. Oh, no, no, Joe, you're wrong, man. You're wrong. No, Joe, you're wrong. I'm not believing that, man. Anybody can see a UFO. Okay, well, whatever. Okay. Then explain to me why they're not seeing UFOs. Why the hell are they not seeing UFOs? What the hell? There are 7.5 billion people on this planet with at least 5 billion cameras, and we're seeing less UFOs than we did even in the 50s. Why? The last real good flash we had running a good solid roll was in the 90s. Since we had 2000, it's been like... Why? Anybody have any ideas why? I'm just asking because it doesn't make any sense to me. With all these cameras out there, you would think that people would be getting more stuff. But yeah, it seems to be about the same amount of people, maybe even a little less, are getting stuff. Could that be because the balance of abductions are about the same or a little less? For me, UFOs, just like other things, are trigger memories. In the old days, we used to call them cover memories. And if anybody knows what a cover memory is, it was a memory that when someone was taken, they were given this memory or this image so that anytime they would think about the abduction, they would focus on the image and would forget. But we realized after 7 or 8 years, I had left MUFON, but it was about 8 or 9 years after we started the research on abductions, that we realized these were not cover memories. These were trigger memories, because what we were learning was, because we had been around these people long enough to know that these were people who wanted to get involved down the line, people who started waking up. These were people coming out of the closet, sort of say they were really coming on board. These people who had these so-called cover memories were starting to remember a lot of stuff, were having more sightings, and were getting active in the field. I mean, severely active in the field. So we realized that these weren't cover memories, these were trigger. These were memories left behind so that you would question what just happened to you. Yeah, I look weird without a tie on. No, really, that's what it was about. Why you are letting this happen. Why aren't you questioning this? It's up to us to question everything, so. I don't know. We're gonna actually no, John. We're gonna move on in a second, but no, I have no problem with them taking citizens and stuff like that as long as they're putting them back and they're not harming them. And for the most part, they're wiping their memories out. No, that's the thing about the trigger memories. You trigger the memory, you get these processes going, and if you can handle it, they'll let you remember more and more and more and more. You'll never get 100%. You'll never even get 50%, but because it's too much to remember. Well, think about it this way. A friend of mine, Jim Sparks, was on air with me one night. Jim and I have talked about this many times. I haven't talked to him recently, but we've talked about this many times over the years. And I asked him one night, I said, well, I said, you're considered one of the most recalled contactees in the field. He's like, yeah, I am. I said, okay, I got a question for you. So how often do you take you? He told me. I said, well, let's say they take you 7 or 8 hours each time, right? He said, okay. So let's say 10 times last month, that's 80 hours, right? So, and over a course of a year, that's 960 hours. So I asked him, do you have that much memory? He says, what do you mean? I said, well, if I was to put you on the spot right now and said, just keep talking about everything that's happened to you, how many hours do you think you could talk for? He said, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4. I said, well, then what the hell was going on all the rest of that time? So even he at that moment realized, even though he had great recall, there was still a lot that was being kept from him that he didn't know that was being hidden. And that's how it is with these people or these beings, whatever you want to call them. A lot is still being hidden from us. A lot of things we're not allowed to see. They don't want us to know what's going on all the time. And some of the stuff we don't want to remember, especially if stuff happens after puberty through our 20s. We don't remember any of that stuff. No, we don't. All the rest of it, they. But again, that's trigger memories, and that's why it's so few, because only a few of the contactees that are taken or abductees that are taken can actually become contactees or keepers or communicators. It takes a certain individual with a certain willpower to get past the fact that the alien's been taking you since pre-birth. It just takes some issue to get past that. It takes time, but some people are more curious, or they want to work with their family or with their kids, or if they think they're helping out, they might get special dispensation for their children. Um, Whatever it is that motivates them, they get motivated then. I've watched people spend their whole fortune, dedicate their whole lives to it. Jesus, if I was to take back all the money I spent in ufology, I'd be retired now. Oh yeah, I'd be retired pretty good too. Well, there were some years I spent really big, especially when I was traveling every year and we were attending all the conferences and working press. It was a decade and a half we did that. You had to ask that question, didn't you? Tamara? Because frankly, I got bored. All the conferences seem to, even today, there's buy my book, sell my book, buy my book. It's the same old people saying the same old bullshit. Sometimes they say it in a different way, but it's still the same old bullshit. And if they're new people, it's fine. But even a lot of the attendees are just regulars that travel around, go or here or there. It's not like it was in the old days. It's just disappointing. And some of these people are friends of mine, so I don't want to go be a negative thing at any of their conferences or anything. That's what is that? Jeremy Tree? Jeremy, the one out in the desert. I'm glad you said they had sent me some email a while back about working press with them, but I don't know what happened to it. Yeah, no, I would have probably gave him a little press, but we had gotten somebody had hacked one of our emails and wiped out like half the email. And I'm not going to bitch. I'm on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 40 years, and 25 just doing radio, and last 10 or last 8 doing TV and radio. So it's no, if you know, and they didn't really do any damage. It just sucks losing those emails. But other than that, they were they could have been much more malicious. They weren't. Anybody can learn how to hack. When we were all growing up, when I first got into electronics and all, we had to learn the internet, and it wasn't like it is today by any means. There was no Windows, by the way. You had everything was done in DOS. If you wanted to go somewhere on a computer or even go somewhere on the internet, you literally had to type for like 2 minutes. It was like a paragraph. Yeah, underscore this, double colon that, asterisk this, AK510. Yeah, it was just a pain in the ass. Um, I was so happy when Windows, what was it, 3.0 came out. Oh man, I was like, what is this? Yeah, yeah, and I think I had half a gig. It wasn't even that. It was like a tenth of a gig drive back then. Yeah, I still got a computer in here. It's got a 5-inch floppy disk on it. Still works too, by the way. The whole computer still works. Oh yeah, man. I got a friend of mine's got a Commodore 64 that still works. Of course, nobody uses them for anything. Now I got a computer that was donated to the station. This is a used computer, but this is a Dell it's a quad core Xeon running at almost 5 with 64 gigs of RAM. The thing ought to be like fast. Oh yeah, man. Every now and then someone sends us a good one. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. Y'all keep sidetracking me. See, that's why Michelle tells me I'm squirrely because of y'all people. It's y'all's fault. It's you all's fault. But anyway, so again, Y'all haven't given me anything to give the government to disclose. They're like, no, we're not disclosing. We're not going to jail for you idiots, just so y'all can know the truth. And what is, and the ET sitting there, I'm not going to disclose. And all these people are out there helping them disclose. All these people we were just talking about with the trigger memories and stuff, they're out there, communicators and keepers. They're telling you about this in your own way all the time. Hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. They all may have a different story, and they're all trying to do the right thing. But the problem for them is it's like all kind of things. You get bits and pieces of the story in their head, and they smush it together into their own little story. Not a good thing to do. It's just not a good thing to do. Philippa Georgia. Oh, I could kiss you. Yeah, because I know where the nick came from, Philippa Georgia. It's from Discovery. She was an evil captain. Well, she was a good captain in the beginning, but she was Giorgio, the emperor. Empress. Yes. Anyway, what can I do for you, there, princess? Hmm. Well, I didn't know if you had been crowned empress yet. I guess empress would be better to say. What can I do for you, Empress Giorgio? Who told? That's sort of true. I have been an occasion. I can. I wouldn't say I could call them. Just sometimes I can sense where they are. Might be a better way of saying it. Well, sometimes I think it's just a correlation. Okay, look at it from my view. Just this week alone, I've had about 14 people call me about abductions, ongoing stuff that happened this week. I've seen about 30 cases, sighting cases come in, some of them which correlated to what I was just talking about on the abduction cases. So this shit's all in my head, and this is always constantly going on back and forth. I'm always talking to people and other researchers that are in hotspots or in zones, and I live in some hotspots. Right where my house is actually a hotspot. I mean, literally where my house is a hotspot. Not far from me, either direction, or more hotspots. So there's lots of places that you can get into, and if you've got a sense of what's been going on, your brain kind of puts it together as its own little search engine and cross-reference everything, and it just kind of drops you into a spot where you can, okay, well, if I come here around this time, maybe I'll, and sure enough. And some people just say it's just built in, it's a calling because we're connected to them, which could also be true. I'm not saying it's not. I don't really know. It's a strange thing. But yeah, on occasions I have been able to tell you they were there, and they show up actually. Well, it doesn't matter if I say they're there if they don't show up. That don't mean shit. Um, I don't know what the biggest group was that I ever saw it. Well, maybe 30, 35. Um, there was a group in New Orleans, about 35 people. We were we had been doing this investigation with this group of people who had had these weird sightings going on for weeks. And it was this giant orb that looked like a soccer ball because it had these weird fittings all over it. And it would come, hover. It would put this beam of purplish, bluish light all over the house, knock everybody out, assuming they were taking people, not taking people. So I got this sense one evening, we were having a group meeting for something else we did. I got this sense, and I was like, I wonder if such and such. So I gave him a call, and nobody answered. I said, what's hot over this? The next thing I know, there's like 36 of us show up at this people's house. And we surround the house, and right as we do this thing, just comes over. Blue beam light comes over and covers the entire house. We watched the whole thing. I don't think not one of the idiots ever took out a camera, myself included, because we were just stunned, actually. And I still remember three of the girls in the back saying they had saw them coming down, not the aliens, but the people being put in the different rooms in the house. And they said you could even see because each room would light up with more of intense light as they were deposited. I did not see that myself, so I can't say I seen it. I did see the thing over the house though, and everybody else saw it too. So, and then I brought a group of it was 14, 15, 16 people down to Gulf Breeze, which had an insane, a whole 16 hours worth of experiences. It was a night in the fog with alien visitation. It was insane. Then I brought another group of people down with me to see the surfing aliens, about 12, maybe 14 people down to see the surfing aliens. Yeah, all this went on Gulf Breeze, by the way. Navarre Beach, to be exact. Uh, uh, some of it was at Opal Beach, which is the hotels and all don't exist, but Opal Beach still does. There's a couple other places besides that. I ain't giving y'all all my good spots to go get probed. Get out of here. I don't want nothing happening to my listeners. Oh, I'm teasing. Um, we've seen all kind of stuff down there, and we've seen him in groups. Another group was with me right after Katrina. I brought a group down of about 20 people from all over the country. But for not just that, Mike was from Canada, and Gene was from the UK, and everybody else was from the United States. But this is right after Katrina. These were people who come down to help my company. We were doing a lot of rebuilding, a lot of remodeling, so they volunteered to come. Well, not volunteered; they were getting paid, but they came down to help us with the remodel. So since all of these were regular listeners to the show or friends of mine, decided while they were here, we'd go out and hit some of the spots. And one of the nights we was in sitting next to Eglin Air Force Base in a gazebo with about 14 of us, when this gray come walking in through he walked in, it was like some white light, almost like something opened up and he walked up out of it. And then was standing in the breezeway where the bathrooms were looking at us because we were all sitting in a gazebo. And this thing is massive, this little rest area thing. It's probably, I don't know, 100 feet across, 50 feet wide, with these pilings running through the middle of it. And I still remember Mike and I were sitting against the back wall, a bunch of people sitting on the other side, and everybody was just kind of spread out, and we were just taking a rest because we'd been walking in a foggy, muddy, rinsy sand stuff. And so we were just taking a rest when this thing came in. And at first, we weren't even sure it'd seen us. It was like it wasn't acknowledged us. Mike, Mike had to move because it was coming by. Wow, this thing came up, got on one of the pylons, and just turned itself upside down and went up the pylon. And we were like, what the? And then kind of, they had these big rafters going across the ceiling. He kind of just went across the rafters. Whatever it is, whatever these grays are, have much better, they're way stronger than we are. Their agility is way better than we are. And they seem to be able to go up and down or sideways without any real effort. It's our gravity doesn't affect them the same way, or um, they have something else going on. It's hard to say. But we watched it do that, and then it came down, and then something started glowing, and it looked like the damn sidewalk lit up. And he just walked into it and disappeared. Mike and him swore they saw stairs going down. They may have, I don't know, I didn't see it. And then it just disappeared. Well, we were all like, wow, that was like 20 minutes. That was like 6 hours. Yes, it wasn't 20 minutes of my ass. It was like 6 hours. Yeah, when everybody was scared to get regressed. Nobody wants to know what happened that night. Nobody wants to know. There's another night like that. We're all out at the NASA Stennis facility out there doing some sky watching. There was 6 of us, and we were standing in separate packs, three in this, three in this. And you can listen to the videotape. I've actually made it available. They were scanning the sky. They actually went, the cameras focused on the sky because there's a meteor shower. But you can hear everybody talking. The three in the front are talking about whatever they're talking about, and then three of us are talking about this gray thing in the back. And you can hear the entire conversation. When you hear this, it sounded like somebody was torturing a horse. It was screaming, whatever it was. It was horrible sounding. And then I still remember, the next thing I remember, we're all driving up. First three left and went home. And then the three of us were in the car. We stopped and got breakfast at Waffle House. And I still remember Linda was laughing her ass off the whole time. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? I was extremely pissed, and my friend that was with us was extremely pissed. And we were pissed in different ways, which was strange. So all three of us had a different emotional thing. And we got to talking, so we realized something had happened just by the sheer amount of time that was gone. We realized something had happened. Nobody wanted to be regressed. So obviously, and Linda had been warning us all night. This is what's the bitch part about this. I hate when she's right. So all night she said, y'all going to get what you're asking for. I'm telling you, you're going to regret this. You don't need to be going out there. Just stay the hell away from this. Just let's go do this or go over here or go do this. No, we're going here. We're going here. We're going here. And I'm not kidding you. Afterwards, she was laughing. So she actually must have witnessed what went on. Anyway, nobody wanted to be regressed from that either. Now, over the years, we've slept or had dreams or been some regressions that went here or there. But in the end, when it comes right down to it on those accounts, nobody really wanted to be regressed. Nobody wanted to face what may have happened there or may not have happened there, especially since it was the night with the screaming horse. Nobody really wanted to know what went down. Still to this day, and this was, that particular account was pre-Katrina, and I still don't want to know. Nope. Well, first off, you're in the middle of Honey Island Swamp, so God knows what's out there. Secondly, you're a NASA facility, and God knows what's going on there. They've seen reptilians in the woods out there. They've seen grays in the woods. Oh no, the reptilians have been seen many times in this area, all along the Pearl River, right up against where Louisiana and Mississippi meet, where the NASA facility is right there. They're all up in there. Yeah, it's a swamp. Maybe they like it. I have no idea. But they, and here's another weird thing. So a friend of mine comes in from France for a regression session. We spent 10 days, like 5 hours a day, a serious regression session. And we out one night and we stopped at this not far from where we were watching these things and where we had these weird experiences. And we were showing them all this. When a Louisiana sheriff of all people pulls up and says, "Hey, y'all should get out of here. They're doing live ammo exercises in the woods." Like, what the hell are you talking about? Oh yeah, the Army and Navy's out there and they're shooting things up and blowing things up and shooting boats up and all kinds of stuff. Well, we didn't hear a bullet all night. We've been out there for hours. And he's going on and on, telling us about this, telling us about. He's really trying to scare us. And we told him we were just out riding around, looking at the stars, looking at this, looking at that, maybe see some weird shit in the sky. And like, y'all need to get out of here. And then he got nasty because we wouldn't leave. And I'm like, only on one other occasion has anybody ever bothered me out there at night, and it was right after 9/11. The NASA security came and wanted to know why we were sitting out there, and we told them. They were like, okay, that's fine. But that was the only other time anybody ever bothered me out there, and he was adamant about us leaving. So we start to leave. We're going along, and we're cruising back down this other road that runs along the back side of this place. When I still remember, she goes, the person was with us, "What the hell is that light in the woods?" And when you look to the right, there's a tower jetting out the woods, and the whole area was just brilliant white light, just gone. You couldn't see anything. I couldn't even drive anymore because you couldn't say I had to stop, and you couldn't see anything. And then next thing I know, we're sitting at the casino, which, by the way, we didn't have any plans on going to that night. Yeah, it was about 20 miles from where we were, 15 miles from where the crow flies. And the car was on the third floor at the casino. It was about the fourth time I found myself at, maybe fifth the time I found myself at a casino when we were doing something like this. Because, we used to gamble. We go, casino's a great stop when you haven't been gambling, investigating all night. Casino's a great place, man. Stop, get breakfast, chill out. They got great Wi-Fi. You can hook all your equipment up. If you want to gamble, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. I got lots of other stuff at the local casinos down here. Yeah, they're way better than just gambling, people. Oh, they got movie theaters in some of them. All of them got great buffets, good restaurants, a lot of different forms of entertainment. Besides that, you got beaches. Like the one we like to go to, you can go park underneath it, and you're right there. Got a great view of the Gulf of Mexico and the bay. So anything coming through there, you can see. It's a great spot for sightings. Yeah, they just happen to have a casino there. So it works out for us because they're scattered along the coast. It gives us break points. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Yeah. You're talking about. Oh, yeah, we did do that during the oil spill. Yeah. So Angela Joyner, rest in peace. She passed away not too long ago from COVID. Her and her husband. I hated to hear that, but she was hosting a show on our network, and she had asked me about it. I said, "Yeah, Linda and I had been out running, taking pictures and videos all up and down from the Grand Isle, Mississippi. Grand Isle, Louisiana, all the way down to Panama City, Florida." And all up through there, through Gulf Breeze, Dolphin Isle, all through there, man. We were all up in there. We were stopping and talking to workers. Got some great sunsets too, by the way. But got some nasty oil pictures. But we were staying on it. And a couple of times, so the one you're talking about, we left. What's it called? Not Daphne. Fairhope, Alabama. We had just left Fairhope, Alabama, and we were headed east towards Gulf Shores, Florida. So that's where we were headed. Then we were headed over to Perdido Key, Florida from Gulf Breeze, Alabama. So we're cruising down into Highway 98. We're cruising down in, going about 65. When we look up in the sky, and I'm like, what the hell kind of cloud is that? It's a spiral. Like the one the Russian said was a rocket that got away from them. Same thing. So it wasn't a rocket. There was no noise. It was just in the sky. So we got some great pictures of it. Well, later that evening, we got some calls about people who had an intense amount of missing time and all kind of other weird anomalies that happened. So it seemed that just in that particular area, which is right outside the null zone, which is funny, there had been like a mini mass abduction. That's all I could say it was. And we thought at first it was aliens. I don't know. It might have been one or two. It might have been aliens, but Seems like the majority of them were Uncle military. Uh, well, military abductions aren't really military. I hate to blame the military for those abductions because it's not really them. It's not the Air Force or the Army or the Navy or the Marines or even the Coast Guard or the National Guard. It's a conglomeration. Damn, I can't speak tonight for nothing. Um, but it's like ex-military, maybe ex-colonels or ex-generals or ex-captains, ex-Boeing, Lockheed, Savannah, Nevada companies. These are people, ex-senators and just people who had ties to this. They all work together now, but they're not part of the government. They're like their own little mini shadow government. Oh, I'm sure they answer to somebody in the main government. I just don't know who. It's not the president. I can tell you that, though. Yeah, it's not the president. It's got to be somebody, maybe NSA, CIA, somebody like that. It's got to be somebody along those lines. They got to answer to somebody. Maybe it's Homeland Security. I don't know. It would be sheer speculation at this point. Yeah, I wish I could tell you that. Yeah, no, that's not something I know. Again, though, no one. We've been here for a while now. We got about 20 minutes left, and no one's giving me how we're going to get disclosure. So you're going to go beat up Adam Schiff. Hey, Mr. Schiff, you're going to tell me about aliens, boy. He probably don't even know. McConnell, he probably don't know either. I doubt. Be honest with you, there may be one or two people in the Senate that knows. I doubt there's anybody in the House that knows. And I guarantee you, Biden don't know. And Kamala, no, they ain't telling Kamala nothing. No, Kamala won't even acknowledge what's going on right now. What are we to tell anything else? No, I mean, come on, give me a break, man. I don't know her. No, you see, I hate when y'all say that. Oh, them presidents are probably aliens. No, that would refer that aliens are stupid. No, they're not. Uh, I imagine they get a giggle out of all the presidents we've elected for the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. Hey, from Austria, how you doing? Hey, I have heard nothing but great stuff about Austria. Nothing but great stuff. Besides, I think isn't that where the Sound of Music was filmed? I have heard nothing but great stuff about the place. Yeah, I got lots of friends in Germany, but I only knew two people that lived in Austria, but they moved. I think they had to move for work or something. One moved to France, and I forgot. Oh, the other one moved to the UK. Well, nice to meet you, JH. Yeah, I hear it's a great place. Yeah, I know a couple of army brats that were over there too that really liked it. Yeah, see, that's Europe. Europe's another place that has sightings all over the place. Yeah, all over Europe, and through the mountains and lowlands. It doesn't matter where they are. I got a lot of relatives in Italy, and got some friends out there too. They're constantly sending me stuff. Just to put this in perspective, I got a relative that owns a pizzeria on top of a mountain out there in one of the more famous towns, and he tells me all the time, "Yeah, we be out there eating pizza, and then all of a sudden you hear somebody, what the hell is that?" And it's like, and he's looking around, and go, "What? You don't see that UFO?" He said, "I thought that was an American thing, but obviously it's not. It's an all around the world thing." I said, "Yeah, it's an all around the world thing." Oh, he sent me pictures of the view from the place. It's fabulous, man. I'd love to go sit there and eat some pizza with him. Oh, I'm not going to Europe. Whoever said that, I may never come back. No, 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 no. I like all that old stuff. Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever come back. I'd be stuck there. I'd like it. I'm just saying. Look, I go all over the United States. Can you imagine if I lived in Europe? I'd be all over the place. And since I got friends there and family, I could get shown around pretty good too. And then I recently found out, even though my last name's a Montaldo, which is an Italian, I have some Spanish and Italian relatives, but I also found out that a good chunk of my family is Irish, Scottish, and Welsh and English. I was like, what? Don't ask me, people. I was as surprised as anybody else was. I figured when I got my DNA test back, it would come back like, at least 50% Italian. Nope, not even. Not even a little bit. No, it was like I think it was altogether. It was like 16% Mediterranean, and a good chunk of my ancestors came from Venice and migrated. Well, actually, I think they migrated part of the way there and got hooked up, and then the rest of them either came from Scotland or they all hooked up over there. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. I can trace it back about 1,400 years now on both sides, which is kind of strange. It is. Well, we get there's no, I don't think there's anywhere in Europe that hasn't had a sighting. I'd have to look, you'd have to do a particular search, but I know pretty much. I don't think there's anybody. Even North Korea gets them, even though it's really hard to get any real information out of there. But from time to time, you'll get a report from like somebody who's going AWOL or someone who's happened to be standing at the border and seen something along those lines. Philip, I don't. That's a good question, man. But because I don't think the other countries know. What's the problem? Okay, so a lot of people want to think that everybody else in the world knows that UFOs are real, or they know they're extraterrestrials. Is what I should say. So let's assume that's true. Then why doesn't the UK come forward? Nick Pope came forward, but that's the only person that's not an official from the government. Russia and China haven't come out and said anything. India hasn't come out and said anything. Brazil, really? I mean, none of the big countries have come out and said that they have proof of extraterrestrials. Why? Vienna, Austria. There's a sighting there. Let me see. Let's take a look at this. Am I saying that right? Hold on. Let's stop this for a second. Hold on. We're going to cheat here for a minute. Share screen. Share screen. Okay, that's where's the Windows at? There it is. There you go. I think that's somewhere in Austria right here. Bloop. Well, let's turn that audio off. Alien activity in your area. Let's see what this is. Am I saying that right? Vienna, Austria? I don't see no UFO. Come on, people. You better show me a UFO and be hostile. Oh, wait, what's that? Hmm. I'm not sure what to think that is. What do y'all think, guys and girls? I'm not sure. I think somebody's pulling her leg. There it is again. I don't know. Whatever it is keeps disappearing in and out the clouds, but it doesn't mean it's there anymore. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. Oh, get out of here. Let me look at this one. I'm going to move to Austria if this picture's real. Damn, Jenny. I like you already. Let's see. Well, that's good. I mean, one, she was really lucky, so that's nice too. And it doesn't seem to happen as much now either because I was talking to a doctor a couple of months back about this, and he was saying it's because so many of the old timers in the 50s, 60s, and 70s were getting the shots that it's probably just been wiped out. They hope. They don't know for sure, by the way. But that's great. Um, well, RH negative people are definitely a different kind of people. Let's see, going back. Oh, I don't notice a good one over here to Austria. Look at this thing. Obviously, JH, they got something flying around in the skies where you live. Got some pretty sunset too, by the way. Dude, hold the camera still. You're making me dizzy. He's making me dizzy. We're switching to another. He's making me dizzy. Let's see if there's another one in here. Bright light scene over Austria video. Come on, show us what you got. Oh, was she now? Well, you're a baby then. 63, huh? Well, her and I are the same age. Let's see. Graz, Austria? What am I looking at here? Okay. People with the video, you're giving me a headache now. Oh, some weirdness is going over here, but they can't. Oh, there they are. There we go. What is that? Okay. The guy's making me dizzy playing with the. Okay, let's see what this one is. Oh, more of these weird Orby thingies, huh? I've got weird pictures like that too. I wish I knew what them things were. I have actually seen those before. Uh, what are you talking about, Krista? I am most certainly. Well, thanks for the comment, but I was definitely born in '63. If it makes you feel better, we can say '73. It made me feel better, but still, I'm just saying. Yes, I know I'm not wearing a tie tonight. I'm not even wearing a dress shirt tonight. Somebody asked me the other day what I look like at work, and I said, "Oh, I'll wear work clothes tonight." What I do for a living, I own a radio station and I own a maintenance company. Yeah, I own United Public Radio and Maintenance Solutions, and I also am the international director for the International Community for Alien Research. Mm-hmm. I do a few other things besides that, but we don't need to get into that. Oh yes, voice press analysis, polygraph, and things like that. Oh, I'm real good at. Well, it's funny, but it's like the world was grooming me for this because early on, when I got out of the Navy, I went to work for this company who sent me to school for all this. I did a well. I'll tell you what happened. I walked in on a job interview, and this guy was reviewing some VHS tape next to me while he had his headphone on, and he was viewing it, and I'm talking to the guy who's interviewing me for his manager's job. And while he's talking to me, I'm answering his questions. I'm watching this guy this video. I'm like, dude, you missed like four people stealing. So for some reason, we were talking. And the guy said, "Well, the guy was doing interviews. I'll be back. I'm gonna go out and get a break." And he told the other guy, he said, "Why don't you go take a break real quick? Well, I'm going to get a drink." And he comes back, drinking. He hands me a bottle of water, and he sits down. We start talking again. I said, dude, I was watching him. He missed like four or five people stealing stuff. He said, "No way, this guy's been doing." I said, "Can I show you?" And I went back and showed him. The dude was really impressed. He was like, "Wait, you caught that sitting next to him while looking at me talking a conversation, and you caught that?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, man, it was pretty obvious." He said, "No, it wasn't." I said, "Yes, it was." Oh, Rendlesham, you'll see me in the Capo Green movie. Yes, I did the voice stress analysis on Larry Warren. Um, yes, I did. I did the voice stress analysis on Larry Warren. And he, one of the top polygraphs in the UK, did the polygraph on it. I don't know, for some reason, John Burroughs and Jim Peniston and them didn't want to be polygraphed. I'm not sure why. Um, I don't know why. Well, one of them told me one night, I was doing an interview with somebody else and they were on their show, and he's like, "It wouldn't be fair." I said, "Yeah, what?" He said, I have no dog in this hunt, no pony in this race." I said, "It doesn't matter to me whether you're lying or telling the truth." I said, "Same thing when it came to Larry." I said, "I didn't know Larry at the time. I know him now, but I didn't know him then." I have no problem. And the original voice stress was at the behest of Peter Robbins. "Hey, Farrah, how you doing?" Peter Robbins was on my show one night. He found out I did voice stress analysis. So he asked me if I would do voice stress on Larry Warren. I said, "Sure, I'll voice stress Larry Warren." So we did a pre-up on a show one night just to see what it would come out as. And I called Peter, told him the thing. So Peter had these little 8 millimeter, little tiny cassettes, mini cassettes, and he sent me all the cassettes from him and Larry walking through Rendlesham talking about Left at Eastgate when they were doing the pre-up for the book. So there's lots of material here. I mean, it literally took me like 3 weeks to listen to all of this, and I voice stressed all of it. Frankly, neither one of them were lying. They got scared a couple of times. They jumped out of their skin a couple of times. But there was no malice there. There was nobody trying to lead to deception there. It was just honest chat about what happened, which I was quite impressed with the way they talked about it. It was open, candid. Peter asked some pretty hard questions, none of that which got in the book, but it's all stuff that Peter needed to know to get the book out. Actually, Glenn, I don't know why Peter and him don't get along. Has something to do with Sasha Christie, and I stay out of that. Yeah, well, she hates me too, so I can't really take her side on this. No, because I caught her lying. Oh yeah, busted her cold. I don't want to get into that, but real quick, I didn't actually bust her. What happened was I was working with some of her friends from Lamar or wherever it was. It was a group she worked with in the UK. And I think it was Joanna. Joanna, I was talking, and Joanna was telling me about a particular abduction case that she had that she had told me about. Well, she gave two entirely different accounts. Oh, yeah. I mean, entirely different accounts to the same event. She was busted. So I had asked her, I had given her some information that she had given me. I said, "Why don't you ask her about these and see what she comes back?" As I said, "I'm going to give you what she told me." And she called me like 2 weeks later, and she was complete opposite. It was like she was just making up as she was going. So yeah, I had to call her out on it. I mean, she was one of my directors. I couldn't let that shit slide. Oh, and no, indeed not. It just made me look like an idiot. Well, when I did that, it was, well, we hate Joe now, so it's nothing. I don't worry about that kind of stuff. I really don't. But getting back to what we were talking to, because I know we're getting short on time. I know we've been talking about some of the abduction stuff tonight and the RH negative and the reptilians and a couple of the other things that go on and how green. It's hard on me because most of my friends are brown haired, brown eyed, whether they're male or female. The majority of them are brown haired, brown eyed. So when they hear me on radio, sometimes they get offended. They're like, well, you just like the RH negative people are the greatest and they all got blue and green. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a difference. It's not that they're greater, better, but there's a difference. I can't help that the majority of world leaders have colored eyes. I didn't make that happen. I just is one of the idiots that noticed it. I also noticed how many movie stars and other people in speaking positions have colored eyes. It's abnormally high since there's so few of them. That's what made it stand out to me. In other words, if green and blue eyes or all these off-colored eye colors were norm, like 50% of the population, it would make sense. But when you're only 4 to 6% of the world's population, but yet you seem to be the majority of people that are out in the world speaking in whatever manner it is, whether it's politicians, musicians, movie stars, whatever it may be, it's odd. So brown-eyed people, do you respect colored-eyed people more than you do brown-eyed people? Because I'm confused. You're the majority. It doesn't make sense, does it? Because they're that much more outgoing. So what you're telling me is RH negative and colored green and blue-eyed people are far more outgoing than everybody else on the planet. Maybe it's true. I don't know. Whatever introduced the RH negative into us, because remember this, people, it's all happened around the same time. These are all mutations. So prior to RH negative, there was brown eyes, brown hair, brown skin. That was it. Very boring society. The world pretty much looked the same anywhere you went. And that's our descendancy. But today, because RH negative, we have green eyes, we have blue eyes, we have amber eyes. Anyway, there's a whole mix there. But even with the whole entire 8 different colors, because there's only really 3, but with the 8 different colors, it's still no more than 6% of the world's damn population. So why are so many of them in control? It bothers me. It's one of them things that, for some reason, it just bothers me. It's like because they have pretty eyes, we're going to follow them. I mean, give me a break here, people. Well, that doesn't mean they're lucky. Not all of them are, Jenny, let's be honest about that. A lot of contactees and a lot of people who have these things end up poorly. And we all know that a lot of musicians, politicians, and movie stars end badly as well. Just because you got them don't mean it may give you an advantage, but it doesn't mean you're going to come out on top because of it. That's still up to you and your IQ and your ego. But it is an advantage. I mean, all you got to do is look at Hollywood to know that. It's just look at the overall majority of people out there talking. To me, it's a crazy thing. It's a weird thing. The RH negative thing is just freaky weird. How many contactees are RH negative and green and blue? I mean, it's more than 50%. On the colored eye thing, it's about 50-55%. On the RH negative thing, it's like 65-35. It's ridiculous. It's almost like it was genetically engineered to go that way. You know what? I haven't. Oh, what? Who? Oh, Linda. Well, I don't know. I haven't. Yeah, no. Somebody told me I had done Ancient Aliens. Was it Returned? Was the first one. We had actually premiered the blood type on some California and New York radio shows about 10 years earlier. And then Ancient Aliens contacted me to do the episode Returned and introduced ICAR and the blood type study. Then 2 years later, they asked me to do the episode Taken. Linda Moulton Howe was in that one. Yeah. Oh, no, she did. They tried to take. Oh, no, they did. They tried to take credit for the blood type study. Oh, they were going on coast to coast, and it was. Oh, yeah, no. I forgot who it was. It wasn't even me. Wasn't even the one because ICAR's been around for a long time, so our data is solid. But I wasn't even the one that called her out. Somebody else did. Yeah, no. Somebody called into one of the shows and said that's not true, and this is where the data came from. But once we released it, the whole goal of releasing it is that every other researcher would jump on it, run their own studies, and back up what we said. And even though Linda was using it as her own, she still backed up what we said. Almost every other, there's only one organization out of all the organizations I know of that didn't come to the same conclusion as we did. And come to find out, their whole board of directors is RH positive. And of course, that's what they said. It was RH positive. Could be a coincidence, could not be. But 1 out of like 50 is and they were a small group. Well, Donna, that's an interesting question. A friend of mine I just seen, she's in Istanbul. And her and I have talked about this before. Turkey is a massive place of sightings. Oh, yes, it is, man. And they're old. They go way, way back in Yeah, it's all that part of the world. People think sometimes, and I don't know why, but people think sometimes like America and Canada, UK, Europe has a thing on sightings, but no, the Middle East, first off, is older than all the rest of us are, and secondly, have been having these sightings as long as they've been able to write. I mean, just look at the Egyptians. Yeah, I mean, they go back 5,500 years. Really, if you want to call it zero dynasty, they go back 6,000 years, and then there's all kind of other cultures in there, and none of them debunk the fact that aliens could be real. Well, they don't go around preaching it, but they will tell you there is weird shit goes on over there. Yeah, some of them call it jinns and genies and stuff, and but then some separate the difference between jinns and aliens. It just depends who you're talking to. No, there's a lot of sightings in it. We've talked about that a lot. There's a lot of offhand. I can't think of anywhere there's not sightings. Mm, no, I can't think of anywhere there's not sightings. No. There's a lot of sightings around the world. You mean this year, this past year? Well, no, of course they're going to be down because everybody was stuck in their damn house. It's the COVID UFO year. Yeah, so everything was down. Abductions weren't down, but everything else was down. Yeah, because nobody was outside. I was, but for them was months. And I got to say, I love this people, by the way. I hated for y'all, but there's a whole year that I got the interstate to myself. I was like, yeah, there weren't even cops on it. I'm telling you, there weren't even cops. It was great. Yeah, just cruising along. Reminded me after Katrina, because for about a year after Katrina, we could do anything we wanted. There wasn't even police around. Everybody was toting their guns around. It was wild, wild west, people. Mhm. I toted my gun around. Somebody asked me one day, said, "Why you tote that gun? You scared you gonna get mugged?" I said, "Nope." You scared somebody gonna get you? I said, "Nope, they gonna get your money." I said, "Nope." I said, "I'm scared of them wild animals. I might walk up into somebody's backyard that I ain't ate in 6 weeks," which I had done. Poor, I walked up on a golden retriever. He was tied to a pole. He's skinny as a rail. He was wanting to eat anything he could get his teeth into. And I'm on the phone with the owner saying, "Please don't make me have to shoot your dog." Because I didn't have to shoot this dog. So I walked back to my truck. I had a half of a chicken salad sandwich in there. I got it out of the truck. I brought it to the dog, used it to get the dog in the truck. Then brought the dog. Nobody knew what happened to him. And nobody had tied him. His leash somehow got wrapped around wherever he was. Yeah, he was stuck like Chuck. Poor baby. No, I got him back to his owners. They were happy. Well, we had to assess a lot of properties after Katrina. So we were in a lot of places and we seen a lot of weird shit at night, people. Well, first off, first very weirdest thing I can tell you about is New Orleans actually got a beautiful sky over it. I had no idea. There was no lights. So there was no ground clutter. There was no light pollution. The sky above the city is just beautiful. I mean, I was amazed how pretty it was. And then we noticed from time to time on different nights, there seemed to be these weird, I don't want to call them orbs because they were like a basketball that somebody had kind of stretched out a little bit. And they would just come zipping by at night sometimes. It was like they were monitoring the area. Well, we had reports of reptilians walking around in the Merity on Esplanade Avenue. Uh, we had what all together there was I forgot, it was either 11 or 14 people. It was 6 or 7 NOPDs and 7 or 8 National Guard who reported seeing reptilians walking through the water, chest deep water on Esplanade right after Katrina. Oh yeah, yeah. We had cops talk about being taken to recruiting or training centers where they were taught how to do crowd control using malls as a backup. Yeah, we had several of them that reported that. Different ones didn't know each other. It was weird shit. A lot of weird stuff went on. Uh, and for a long time, I mean, it was 6 months before there was any real light anywhere. I mean, we had generators running, but at night all the lights were off in the house, even when the generators running because it kept it cool. But still, you'd be surprised how easy you get used to the sound of wah, you just ignore it. Yeah, your mind just blots it out. Yeah, well, got to keep them running. So we kept 2 at the house and 3 for work, so we could flip flop them back and forth. But all of that was strange. All the weirdness that was going on there, and we started getting reports of people moving around and seeing things in the streets, and because nobody really was here for the first 6 weeks at all, except for us, because even the people who were left behind got evacuated out, so it was just a handful of us. Then the contractors started coming in, and emergency workers. It was weird because like the National Guard would pass by our house once a week and drop off MREs and bring the kids like bonbons and shit like that. Yeah, and then was it Domino's? Domino's was giving everybody free pizza. Didn't matter who you were for like the first 6 months of everybody working down here. They were giving away free pizzas, and then Drago's opened up, which was a high-end restaurant. They started giving away lunch and dinner every day. There were several restaurants doing it, so we got to eat for free even though we were working. I was so happy though when the power finally came on because I was so tired of taking cold water showers. Even though it wasn't like 98 degrees outside, still it gets old after a while. The reptilian thing was a strange phenomenon, and it was just the whole thing was weird because it was first off, it was weird how it happened. So Matt, who was an NOPD, calls me up one day to tell me about this weird thing that happened to him at Oaklawn Mall while he was in training as a police officer for New Orleans. So we did a couple of shows on this. Well, he's one of the ones that was involved with the training, but because he came forward and two NOPDs called me and said, "Hey, look, I don't know who else to tell us about." And really, we were the only ones in the city that were even talking about this at the time. So they drove to the end of the French Quarter, which dead ends against Esplanade Avenue. And they said they remember pulling up and they were just sitting there talking in the car, looking at the water because the French Quarter is above sea level, but the surrounding area isn't. So they're looking down Esplanade where they were parked from and seeing the water. When they seen this, they saw what they thought was a man walking in about chest deep water. It looked like he was towing something behind him. So they jump out the car, say, "Hey, come here, buddy. What are you doing over there?" And the thing looked at him and turned. And I still remember, I got such an eerie feeling when it looked at me, like, what the hell? Because, it's kind of misty and grayish outside. So he said, so it started walking to him. As they started walking to him, they started walking towards it. And he said, I still remember when I made out what it was. I reached for my gun. He said, I hadn't even had my hand on my gun yet. And I said, I got this feeling. So I reached for my gun. I could start to make out this thing was not a human. It looked like a freaking giant lizard. And he said, I remember I was drawing my gun. And then the next thing I remember, me and my partner were back in the car talking. And so I talked to both of them. They remembered a few other little things, but that was it. Whatever it was stopped them right there. Well, so we got National Guard guys calling a couple weeks later because we had actually talked about it on a local radio show about these two cops. And so these three National Guards calling and said, no. So we're walking. They had M16 slung over their back and they're walking through the water, in waders, looking for bodies. So because there was reports that some reptilian had been seen gathering up bodies and tying them off the stop signs so that they could find them. Now we know the National Guard was doing that. They were tagging them. They would find a body and tow it to a stop sign, tag it, leave it there with other bodies, and send a boat to get them. But somebody else had been doing it, and the National Guard thought, or actually I should say it was Army, because these were everybody who was here wasn't really National Guard. They were just Army who were back from Afghanistan, or from not Afghanistan, from Iraq, from Desert Storm. So they were actually troops here. And so for these guys to even call and say stuff like this, you really got to take them serious. But they said they were walking down, and this thing was walking towards it, and it looked like it was towing something. And they were walking towards it, and one guy said, I remember I slung my M16 over and pulled the bolt back, and I was like, what the hell are you? I said, I still remember saying that. My two partners were just about to reach for him when all of a sudden we were at the end of Esplanade walking out of the water towards the river. And we stopped and paused like, what the hell just happened? What did we just see? And what the hell is going on? And he said, I don't know, probably 30, 40 minutes had passed or 60 minutes had passed. He said, I don't remember anything else happening, Joe. He said it was just, they were there. It was there. He said it got real close to us within, arm's touch. He said, I could have touched it if I'd have reached out. And I got a sense that not to be scared, that it wasn't here to hurt us or kill us or eat us. He was just, doing his share to help out the people in New Orleans. That's what they said, by the way, not me. I was like, what? I'm thinking he ain't going around eating people. He's just, what is he, every fifth one he keeps for dinner or something? I mean, what the hell's going on here? Well, it's just freaking weird. So, I get out. I was on, I think I did. I was doing a guest appearance on Coast to Coast with Melinda Leslie on military abductions. And during that interview, I had just mentioned it just for a second. I didn't even say what was involved, just that somebody had seen reptilians. Military or police had seen reptilians on Esplanade. Anybody else see any? Man, next day, two more National Guard guys called me. 2 days after that, another police officer. All together, when it was all said and done, I think it was all together. It was let's see, there was 9 and 1 and 7 of us. It was 16 total. There was 9 National Guard and 7 police officers that had come forward and said they had seen this. So I had a friend of mine who was in NOPD doing an investigation to see how many of these guys knew each other. Other than being partners, they didn't know each other. They weren't even assigned to the same divisions. They were just stuck together because of Katrina. Had whatever cops were still left were just being thrown together as a haphazard force. It was a strange thing. And I still remember the one guy said, yeah. He said, we come around the corner in the car and we seen this thing and I punched it. He said, I was just going to run it over in the water. He said, because I knew this wasn't anything human. He said, no. He said, all of a sudden, he said, we sitting at the light, car is off. We're just sitting at the light, diddly dallying like we were eating lunch or something. He said, I didn't even know what to think. So I'm not even sure how it happened, Joe. He said, it was just, they were on the air. They came on the air to talk about it. I was like, I don't know what to tell you, man. And then one of them told me about being in a scenario at the lakefront arena, along with 2 of the other National Guards and another cop later on who told us that they had all been taken there to learn how to use these areas as holding areas for masses of people. But he acted like it was from some kind of infection or some kind of bite or something. I couldn't honestly tell you what it was, but that something was coming. Because one of the cops just recently wrote to me about COVID. Said, Joe, you think COVID could have been what they were talking about? I said, nah. I said, the people didn't get crazy enough. He's like, yeah, I guess you're right. So they're still waiting on this. These people who were involved in this are still waiting for this to happen. And all together, not just in cops, but all together, I think we interviewed 9 or 10 people who said they were involved in these programs. Just local. That's not other stuff we found out later on from other areas, but that's just local. The whole thing was strange. And then I still remember the one National Guard guy, he's a young guy. He's been in about 3 years. He hadn't seen any time or anything. He said, yeah. He said, one of the guys sent me down the street to go to the stop sign to check to see if, there was any bodies down there. And he said, I'm walking up and obviously I see a couple of bodies. So I get on the PA on the mic. He's like, hey, there's some bodies down here. Send the flatboat, the fan boat. He said, all right, we'll send it down there. So all of a sudden, he said, he's standing there. The bodies are reeking bad. Things are crawling on him and shit. He's like, just standing there. And he said, and he looked at the knot. He said, I've never seen a knot like this before. He said, being a Marine and all, he said, I've just never seen a knot like this. Being an ex-Marine, actually. Yeah, I guess Marines were too much for me transferred to the Army. He told us about on air why he did. I don't remember why, but the Marines can be tough if you're not mindset for it. Ooh, we got to go to. I didn't realize it's 8:00. Coming up next, the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRochier and Amelia Bubbles de Grey. I'm sorry, Amelia Pasanos / Bubbles de Grey. That's what she is, guys. She is a true alien. But we got to go. Thanks for everyone tuning in tonight. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. We'll get a little bit more in depth in this next week. We've got a couple weeks where we're going to have guests coming back on. I needed some time to catch up on some research. So I'm going to take advantage of this and talk about some of the research we're into right now. What's being going on. We'll get a little bit more deeper into the blood type study and a little bit more about disclosure, what we can do to help speed this along. But for everybody in the chat rooms and all 4 of y'all, all y'all in the 4 chat rooms, thanks for hanging out. Jay, nice to talk to you. Jay, it's nice to talk to you. I hope you like it over there in Australia. Everybody out. Austria, I said Australia, didn't I? But I got to go so that Michelle, Bubbles don't come probe me because, Bubbles does not like me being late. Anyway, guys and girls, thanks for tuning in to United Public Radio, UFO Undercover. I am your host, Joe Montaldo. Until next week, enjoy your life. Have some fun. Good night, everybody.